All right, getting to the normal chat. It's Tuesday. Got a new chapter this week. Obviously, I'm very hyped. I've been said before. I'm more hyped for the Gray fight because I want to see what exactly Gray's exactly Gray's upgrades are. Because with Lucy, hers are more of like hers are more in her general value in her kit, and it makes all of her magic kind of just flow better. And obviously, having more magic just to be able to summon and whatnot. There wasn't anything that was that, like it was some outright new ability for her. Like, for the most part, she doesn't really need it when she has her star dresses, and she, as shown in this chapter, still has her Onometria. And the thing is, that's really funny, is I was thinking more about the idea of her casting it really, like, if she wanted to just use it, that she wouldn't really need anybody else. Like, she wouldn't need, the Gemini segment. But then I realized, like, why would that really matter? Because regardless of how strong Lucy gets, having the Gemini is essentially a doubler. It's always going to double. Why would you want to cast it by yourself unless you don't have the strength to summon Gemini if you can? Just to instantly make the spell twice as strong as, how you would be normally. Because I was thinking it more of like when we first saw Lucy do it on her own and she needed Gemini, but now it's clearly not the case. Well, what's going on with you guys, Emblem Knight and Jared Punch? How are you dudes? Stumbling on my words. How are you guys doing today? How are you dudes within this nice Tuesday start of the week? We had Memorial Day yesterday. We're moving into June. I'm excited for the summer. This month hopefully will be more exciting than May. May for some reason went by really fast for me. I'm not sure why. I think the month itself was just real calm for the most part. Anyway, how are you guys otherwise? Does everyone enjoying the chapter? I waiting eagerly for the fan translation. I haven't heard anything from them about if they aren't going to get it out today. Maybe we'll get it out tomorrow, or what exactly the status is on that. But as at least for right now, I'm just I'm standing by waiting. So the content of the chapter, for the most part, Lucy didn't do anything that crazy different. It was more on her fighting a little bit smarter. One of the things, like, just in general, that she did, obviously, was use Onometria in this chapter, and I was never really sure why, it would make sense why she would use her other options before busting out her ultimate move, but I feel like once Lucy kind of got into a bad spot with Mimi the first time, she should have just went straight for Onometria, but I mean, at that point, she kind of got screwed over, and she was just getting overwhelmed, but here now with that she's got a grasp on her transcendent magic, I would assume that I would assume that she's got just a general better grasp on her magic all around, and it's not just in the sense of, oh yeah, she's got like a better version of something. I would assume that her magic in all aspects is superior than how she was using it prior. I actually really want to know what exactly is like the different feeling in having your advanced magic. Like, would it be anything that different, or would it be like how, you controlling an arm, you're used to it? Like, I would assume that it would be like maybe gaining a third arm or something. It would feel weird at first, but then it would kind of be natural, because it would go into how you're something you're already used to doing. And it's a little bit different than I would assume, like, Second Origin. Because Second Origin is just a straight magic, like, it's essentially like a big increase to your magic, like your Ether Nano supply. Whereas with this, it's more towards like a straight like upgrade, and then I would assume like general strength as well. I can't spell Lucy without an L. I mean, she won though. Lucy won her fight. That's the weird thing. I thought that her fight was still going, but at the end she comments about how Mimi is unconscious. Like, Mimi essentially passed out on her feet. What's up, Ash Ketchum? How are you doing? I'm stuttering on my words real bad today. How are you doing today, though? What's up, bud? Reed Mashal. The last Mashal chapter was weird. I know that it's the big content right now, but I really want to see the fight between Wahlberg and the other dude. Because like that's the fight that came out of nowhere. And it's two big people within their worlds, like two maximum position people. So their fight is really going to set a tone. And that is one of the bigger things for me in this arc. Like, seeing Mash and everybody do stuff is still cool, but I want to see what the ceiling people can do. Because the difference between Mashal and One Punch Man, the difference between Saitama and Mash, that is a core realization of the series that you can't really compare the series and reality to each other when you look at it is the fact that Saitama starts out essentially at the top, whereas Mash starts out really strong, but he's not even close to the top. There are a lot of people clearly more powerful than him, like Wahlberg clearly stronger than him. This dude who claims to be his dad absolutely would be stronger than him, because, I mean, like, you get them in a fight, the dude stops time. What does Mash do? Nothing. Mash is similar to Saitama in that aspect. He doesn't currently have any hacks. He's just raw physical strength. So if you get him with a good enough hacks, to get something like Time Stop, they have absolutely zero ways of dealing with it. I think Vonica is Noelle might be the longest fight if the bot includes Acer Flashback. I hope so. I really want to know where that fight went. As well as, like, seeing some Acer exposition would be really cool. And Charlotte's Curse of Gordon makes an appearance because his family has some history with Megekyo. I know, I've seen that float around a bit too. I actually am very on board with that as well. The general idea that Megekyo might show up is actually really cool. And it gives an extra level, if Gordon will show up to fend against Megekyo, rather, I think that would be a really cool addition into what's going on, just because it's really cool when you loop back character arcs and information on characters into a later plot point. Like, it doesn't have to sit and just be Noelle. Like, I know Noelle should be directly involved as well, but I mean, like, people that were influenced and kind of, like, put it under some form of stress or just generally, like, a bad spot because of Megekyo, logically, they should also have, a potential way to go against him. And somebody like Gordon, who, went out to go study curses and stuff, could be a way to combine these things to have them be relevant. And I'm always a fan of stuff like that, because, again, it keeps characters to have a role, something they can do, something that gives them a presence in the arc. Because if you're not going to give them a fight, you have to give them something. Whether it's maybe they have a tactical role that arc, or maybe they're they're doing like some form of like focused healing, some job to where they have they can leave the arc with something where you can say, what did this guy do this arc? It's one of the most unfortunate things, really, when you look at other series, when you have a character like not necessarily doesn't have to be main cast, but somebody that's relevant enough and involved, is they don't get something by the end of the arc. It just makes them feel kind of like a background piece, and I've never been a fan of that. Anything about people complaining on Twitter if Noelle gets a new form with her ultimate magic? I mean, she's gonna have something with her ultimate magic. That's just obvious. I mean, we don't know what it is. It's one of those things. When you know somebody has a power increase or some form of new ability, some form of a new spell, what's the problem with assuming they might have something like special up their sleeve? It's not obviously the same, but in Fairy Tail, one of the most annoying things that I ever had to just generally try and wrap my head around is when people got mad that Urza had the Nakagami armor against Minerva, because it was like, you knew she was going into this with something new. Every single character prior has shown something new that they brought into the arc from their training and whatnot. Why would she be an exception? It's the same thing with Noelle. Everybody has that went and got trained ultimate magic, at least one new spell. They have their ultimate magic. Noelle's is going to either be a form, or it could be like a super upgraded version of her Sea Dragon Sword. Who knows what it is? Either way, she's going to have something. And what that something is obviously the mystery. But we do know, obviously, for a fact, she's going to pull up with some brand new... Well, she already pulled up. She's going to unleash some form of new technique with her ultimate magic. It could be a new form. Who knows? We're going to have to just kind of wait and see, I guess. It's weird to me when people complain about that, because it's not like it's automatically some like instant win, or it's some form of like quick tide turning thing, in a sense of it's going to upgrade Noelle, so she's going to be able to perform at a higher rate than where she was last time they fought. But I mean, like, people act like she just walked in with kryptonite, and it's just like, no, she's fine. X, what are predictions for the next chapter? Wait, Rax, what are your predictions for the next chapter, Black Clover? I should probably do a video on it. I haven't done many Black Clover predictions lately. I just haven't had any good ones, and I mentioned before, I don't really like to do ones where it's just like,
hey, the obvious happens. It demotivates me a little bit just to kind of do a video, essentially to do a prediction video just for the sake of uploading it to my channel. If there's something I really want to talk about, like I'm really excited for, that's one thing. But if it's just like Noelle and Vonica are gonna fight, I don't really have much to go off of that other than they're gonna battle. We could get to see Noelle's ultimate magic. I would rather actually see more on Gaja in this next chapter. I would really like to see Gaja's ultimate magic. Out of everybody that showed up within the that came from the Heart Kingdom that learned Ultimate Magic, Gaja's the one that I would like to see the most. Just because like he was already extremely powerful, and I feel like his is going to be really cool. Whereas unlike Luck, Gaja is a long range caster, so I don't know. I imagine some form of sick storm cloud conductor kind of guy. So there's some dude, he's just got lightning all around him. I'm hoping that Tabata doesn't go for the whole what do I think of? Raijin? Is that the one I'm looking for? The Thunder God? I'm hoping he goes for something else, or maybe just tries to go for a unique design. Because if he kind of goes for like a good example, like Anel with the things behind him, I don't really know how I'd feel about that. Just because like I want Gaja's to be something really crazy. Because this is going to be a form. I would assume his is some form of spell, but I kind of want it to be some form of almost. I'm trying to think. Like, if instead of it being a lightning bolt, like, what if he just has this almost summons-like version of a cloud? Think of, like, if Big Bomb Zeus was badass instead of silly. Some form of almost creature-like version of a thundercloud that he's able just to have follow around him and just throw lightning bolts at people. Or actually, you know, it'd be really cool if, he had almost, you know how like Ulquiorra, he's got his Lanza and he has like his, you know, he's got a Ryatsu essentially condensed spear. What if Gaja had something like, he had lightning spears to throw, like javelins, but they're essentially like really tricked out lightning bolts? That'd be sick. That would actually really remind me of Zeus, the way that like when Zeus is depicted and he's like, when he's getting ready to throw his lightning bolts, they're not like, you know, a coursing thing of lightning. It almost looks like an inanimate object and he's picking up, getting ready to throw. I'm actually really, I like the idea of that. Trademark, copyright that. Not from a literal term, but if it happens, I call dibs. It doesn't amount to anything, but I just want to say that I called it. Super forms are always incredible. Yeah, but the thing we know though about some of them is that it's magic. I would assume it's magic specific. Like it's not just going to be a form. I would imagine it's whatever your magic kind of centers around. Like Lux is a form because Luck specializes in like putting stuff on and using it. And then when it comes to like Jack's form is not really, it's like quote unquote a form. It's like as much of a difference in form as like Natsu going from fire on one hand to fire on his whole body. It's sort of an upgrade, but I mean like it's not that different. Whereas like Charlotte's is like a good halfway point. And then you get over to like Yuno's, where Yuno's is actually like exuding from his body. You know, it's essentially like a transformation instead of just like a battle outfit kind of thing. I think that's the best way to kind of look at the difference between a transformation and like what Charlotte did is more like a battle upgrade. And then Jax is like this like kind of power upgrade. And then when you look at like Ultimate Magic Luck, that's like an actual form. But I don't know. With the other ones, I would assume it's whatever they're going to specialize in. Like, maybe Mimosa's is, like, one giant AoE heal. Maybe Noelle's is a giant super Sea Dragon's Roar or something. I really like the idea of combining her Sea Dragon's Cradle or Nest. Like, there's just this large AoE of water and Sea Dragon, but it's like a bunch of Hydras. It's like a bunch of water dragon heads all coiling around it and coming from all directions to attack. I think that'd be really cool. Geez, I stayed up so late. I caught your live stream, which you'll be able to watch afterwards. Gotta sleep. Oh, you have a good sleep, man. I'd rather people get a good amount of sleep. As somebody who doesn't sleep a lot but enjoys sleeping, I can always I can't ever catch somebody in a bad spot to, you know, when they say they're about to sleep. It's always good to me. Candy Flutter's been really good this week, especially the person with the exams with the dude. Yeah, he seems pretty cool. He actually, like, I was wondering where I'd seen like a similar design. There's a guy in Witch Watch. He's like a Tengu, I believe. He looks very similar to him. It's just the haircut. This guy looked kind of cool, though. I like him. I like Candy Flutter's character so far. I mentioned that in my review. The characters have been really solid, and that's one of the things I think the series really needed. It's like when after, you know R.I.P. Build King. I think Build King would have done, like, Build King had characters I liked, but I do agree that there was a little, like, it was it was too slow for a lot of like a lot of the newer gen shonen readers, because like they are, a lot of them are more used to like Black Clover kind of stuff, where it's like pacing is way more kind of like wanting to keep things moving, whereas like older shonen sometimes will slow down because they want you to get you to know the information, and they can take their time. I can understand both sides. I can understand why, you know, some people who's used to fast stuff wouldn't be too kind to that, but I also understand obviously the older style, they want to set things up a little bit more comfortably. If Build King, I think, did a little bit more, took a lot like stuff like Vigor and whatnot, give information on like how Build Kings work earlier on, I think it would have done better. Whereas like something like Candy Flurry, because the concept is so weird, needs like really enjoyable characters early on, and it's done that so far. I've really enjoyed that about the series. I hope Noelle gets something to fight against devils. Austin, you know, have some aspect of that. Maybe Ultimate Magic. Hey, sorry I've been missing your streams. Oh, don't worry about it, Lovely Leech. If you've been busy, you've been busy. It's not, that's not on you. I don't mind if you want to listen to them later. There's one thing that I actually, like, I always really enjoy if I don't. Like, if I don't catch a stream of somebody, or if I don't watch one of, like, a longer video of somebody's, it's like a half hour, or whatever, I don't mind as much, because then I could use that later, like if I'm doing chores, or if I have, and it's just something that I want background sound, or just something to listen to. I think that is, that's kind of like the you know, the benefit of it. So, I mean, if I'm helping you do something later, or just something to look forward to, that's something. Like, people have told me before they like just to put on my stream in the background while they're doing stuff, and I mean, that's essentially what I motivate to do. I don't like I'm not like some of these guys that have like crazy video quality. Like, I strive to try and get my sound quality good because I'm good at talking. So I was like, well, I at least need to get that right. But my ability to talk consecutively for long periods of time has always been both a skill and a curse. And I would hope that if that's my skill, then I guess the max kind of value to it would be like if I could help people kind of comfortably have time fly by. I mean, like I said, if you're doing chores and I'm in the background, or you got something going on and I'm helping things move along, that's a win for me. Also, just because I just wanted to get to it, I'm trying to get them not just in the middle, like early, middle, and then ends, and then I guess if I do a long stream, like intervals. But it's gonna have to show the stream. If you really appreciate for people here, if they would thumbs up the stream, you know, hit that thumbs up button, prefer the thumbs up and the like button, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you feel like throwing any money my way, go ahead. If not, I mean, that's up to you. No, donations are not required; they are donations. Anyway, I really do miss Smith, but he, like, with Build King, Smith was the character that I would usually use if, like, you know, when you wanted to get people interested, because he was cool, he was funny, but he had a really cool, like, his design, he was just this big kind of like nerdy looking meathead. It was an interesting setup, but he was also badass, and I do genuinely miss him. I'm still got my fingers crossed that they'll announce Build King, the bi-weekly digital release only series, and it would just be it would be such a good day. If everyone at Kaiju Network gets an anime studio, you think, listen, as long as it's a good studio, I don't care. I like Kaiju number 8. I like they're not, like, it's a good series. They're sticking with what flows right, and they're not trying to go too crazy with, you know, try to get way too many complicated things. If stuff like that happens down the road, that's a whole different story. But right now, you got a lot of action. You can, the problems are understandable. The art's crisp. The characters are cool. It's doing its thing. It's doing a really good start. And again, that's one of the things, though, that is, I think, the most important with a lot of, at least for Shonen Jump, but a lot of Shonen right now, because now that people have so many options, it's easy to you know, to skip over something. Early game is important, and Kaiju number 8 is a good example of a series that went really hard early on, and, you know, got a really good reputation for it. Like I said, if Build King had a lot of its more interesting stuff earlier on, the first couple chapters, not that you have to give everything, but just went over stuff like Vigor, the whole fact you can get these godlike Vigors from, like, the Build Kings and stuff, I think it would have done better if these things were set up early on. Like, if we found out about Vigor, and maybe just like, oh, Build Kings can give you this amazing power within the first chapter, like, not even going that crazy, but just kind of describing them, I think the series would have done better. Because that, to me, like, especially Vigor, that was one of the things that I thought a lot of people take a lot of interest in, because the power system was interesting. But I really liked the idea of these, like, weird, kind of like how we have, like, what is it, the Wonders of the World, kind of like that, but like alive, kind of like these raid or dungeon like entities out there in the world that if you somehow figure out like how to work with it, it'll give you like this godlike power. But yeah, when you see the Persona games, Xenoblade. Wait, you should see the Persona games. I haven't played Fire Emblem, Xenoblade, or Persona. Oh, do you say that Milani is the Broly of the Never Empire source of transportation? I don't know. Like, did they? I don't think they really need anything like that because they got rocket ships and so they got spaceships. Rex and how so similar Shura and Frieza are, both because of royal spoiled sadistic genocidal maniacs. I don't know. Shura seems way more. I don't want to tame, kind of like regulated, calm. I mean, he's definitely crazy, but like Frieza was blowing up planets for no reason. Whereas like Shura, you have to get on Shura's bad side seemingly to get him to kind of like, you know, just to kill you. He doesn't go around just murdering people for no reason. There's some form of catalyst each time. The only time he's really done it without any form of coaxing is like the chicks he had, the consorts, when he was first introduced. But he seemed just to not care about that in general, so. Max Stream's videos are the best background for drawing everything or anything. I hope so. Like, if my, like that, again, that's like the best, like the ultimate goal for like my videos. Because I know like I want to upgrade my video quality. Like I've slowly been making progress. I've been figuring out how to edit stuff. But I have an idea for how I want to do stuff. Like for the, I might as well say because it's nothing crazy. Like if you've seen the videos that I've been doing right now, I decided to switch it to have the space between time background, but I edited it red just because that's my color. I was gonna have like I'm gonna get a commission at some point of like the character that I use, my little YouTube avatar of me, and I'm gonna have it so it's almost like he's maybe reading a crystal ball or something, or it's like some like maybe it's in his hand and he's like calling. Like the idea of like whatever, you know, if I'm talking about something, the panels would come out of the center of the space between time, almost like that's where the this is what I'm drawing information out of kind of thing. That's at least the goal upcoming, and you know it's nothing crazy. It's something that I could definitely do, but I'm hoping that it will look better, you know, than it probably will, at least in my head. If it can turn out okay, that'll be something. But like I said, peak streams for me and peak content for me is stuff in the background, something that like somebody can just be like, oh man, I gotta freaking vacuum like my downstairs. I need to listen to something that kill 15 minutes. Oh, Rax is streaming, you know. I mean, maybe hopefully within that 15 minutes I can win you over. Oh, thank you, Crystal.19.2 Sanders, for subscribing. Much appreciated, my guy. I'm thinking about editing that and maybe it's something different, but I don't really know. I like the weird rabbit-looking thing. Like, completely astonished that somebody would subscribe. Who had more hype moment, in your opinion, Homura or Maki? I would probably say Maki, because, like, Homura's came out of nowhere. It was really weird, because the thing about it is Homura's wasn't some... I was going to, like, put in here about, like, Homura surpasses her limits kind of thing. Homura essentially is limit breaking, upgrading a new ability. But it was done more like Homura had, like, for at least from the way that it was presented, is that Homura already had this, you know, probably, you know, developed from the training with Xenolith, which makes sense. But like because of that, it just kind of happened, which I'm alright with. Not every power up has to be some crazy like reveal. It could just be like, I have this thing, I'm going to drop this thing on you. But Maki's was very built and hyped up from the previous chapter. I'm not gonna, you know, take that away from them. Like, they did a really good job. Like, Akutami did a really good job in the previous chapter, having, you know, her run through her dad, completely blitz and one-shot him to get you hyped up to see her just be active in this arc. Just go around, and especially this chapter, just start slaughtering people. I finished Jujutsu anime. That's good. You should read the manga as well. If he doesn't kill Naoya, he has potential. I'm worried about him killing Naoya just because, like, Naoya so far, I mean, as a bad guy, he's got potential. Yeah, like he's an entertaining bad dude. But if he gets killed here, I mean that's that. I'm not even about that. I used to always keep your streams on while doing house chores. Good. That's what like I said, that's the goal. That's the peak. That's the goal that I want to achieve. What's up, Crystal Sanders, though? How are you doing today? This is the first time Homura has used Overdrive in general. It's the first time on screen. It's the first time she's used Overdrive. How do you think Suzaku and Homura will interact? They'd probably get along. They'd probably chill. I mean, Homura, I think the most that would kind of come out of it is Homura would end up saying something she was thinking that might be, might be a little crude or something, and then he would think it's funny. I think they would have a pretty good relationship. Plus, she would try and fight him, I would assume, and then, they would have some back and forth. Maybe she becomes, like, an apprentice to him or something. I hope Kaiju number 8 doesn't try to get complicated like Attack on Titan. Really didn't like AOT. I mean, Attack on Titan didn't try to get that complicated. It laid a lot of foreshadowing out and then got complicated. But, like, the beginning was mostly just fighting Titans and then, going around and getting into problems. Some political issues and stuff. I definitely like Kaiju number 8's setting a lot more. I was never a huge fan of Attack on Titan's whole setup. I mean, that's personal belief, my personal take. I always like it when, I very clearly prefer fantasy series, and I like having ones where, like, characters have powers, abilities, and they can do more and, just perform in like, crazy ways and crazy manners. And when all the characters are, for the most part, they're human-bodied, I don't know, it just makes me a little less hyped. Because, like, I get why people like Attack on Titan, but, like, all the other characters, for the most part, they're doing similar things, doing the 3D maneuvering gear, moving around, just kind of like Spider-Manning about. But outside of like Mikasa and Levi, who could just do extra stuff, I don't know, I wasn't nearly as hyped. And I did like some of Aaron's fights when he was doing more of like the hand-to-hand combat stuff in Titan form, but I don't know, I've never been a huge Attack on Titan guy outside of the openings. I like the opening songs. But to be fair, like, Attack on Titan, after, like, I mean, I could name my favorite things in series, and Attack on Titan is not gonna, like, land a lot in those categories. I mean, like, obviously I like stuff like magic, dragons, fantasy, freaking people with cool powers and stuff. It doesn't have that. What time does Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter usually drop? The Japanese Raws come out at the same time that the Fairy Tail chapters come out. Like, now, because I also checked the Fire Force chapters too. I'm going to stop doing that soon. I mostly just want to look at spoilers for the Arthur fight. After the Arthur fight is over, I'm going to go back to not looking at spoilers. But usually, like, I'll look at, I'll buy the Fairy Tail chapter, I'll buy the Eden Zero and the Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter, and then read those, at the same time. Tuesdays for me. I mean, in Fairy Tail, though, every other Tuesday. How you doing, Crystal Sanders? It's an interesting name. Well, how come he got .19.2? Is there a story to that? Rax, back in the early Fairy Tail, did you ever think Natsu would get a Fire Dragon? Lacrima, like how strong Sting and Rogue got Lacrimas? No. I never really took in the idea of Natsu having that. I did assume Wendy was going to have a hybrid form. And I was like, well, you can rule out Sting and Rogue or Laxus. And I was like, oh, well, maybe she'll get, like, Cobra, and there'll be a story with Cobra, and she'll have, like, some form of poison sky or something. Did not get that. I didn't really see the idea of Natsu also getting a Lacrima. I don't know. It just never really crossed my mind. Like, with the main character being first gen, it always made sense to me, like, he'll stick in first, number one, the original OD kind of, like, Dragon Slayers. So, I don't know. I think it's just one of the things that never really kind of, like, crossed my mind. It's weird. I never really thought about, like, Gajil getting one either. I don't think I really thought much about, like, any of the main cast having it. I did think that Natsu at some point would get some form of tool. Maybe not like the sword, but I don't know, something additional into his repertoire. At one point, I was like, what if he had fire Lacrima like the bombs? Like, just little fire ones that he could kind of, like, keep as snacks. But it's like in some battle, he busts one out, breaks it, and gets the fire. But I was like, that's pretty much just having Zenzu beans. And I don't want that. So I was like, no thanks. Zenin clans are fodder. Yeah, most of them are. The Samora sword, Samora's ether sword blunt. Has she ever, like, actually cut someone? It's definitely sharp. I mean, she just has, like, the normal anime thing where it's like you can slash through somebody, it's gonna do a cut, but it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna, like, cut them in half. I mean, it went right through Garrett. It went through his chest. You plan to do another Black Clover, Fairy Tail rather. One of Fairy Tail's controversies explained. At some point. I gotta go back and look at what I did and then figure out what I want to do at some point. Maybe when I don't think I've done the Red Lightning one. I might do that, maybe. It's like the Red Lightning was always something I was never a fan of, and I was happy how when they gave more information about it in 100 Years Quest. I was always a fan of that because it made it seem less. It made it seem less kind of just like Laxus just had it and decided to pull it out then, and when I liked more of it was just like this freak occurrence rather than like he conveniently had this power against a guy who could absorb regular electricity and lightning. So, but yeah. Let me see. My favorite moment in the anime was Megumi's incomplete domain expansion. That was pretty sick. Yeah, Megumi's my favorite in Jujutsu Kaisen. Are you gonna do more Jujutsu Kaisen videos because either way it's gotten better than before? I mean, I've mostly done just the chapter reviews. I don't know how much I want to do anything beyond that. It really hurt my want to do like character stuff when I found out Jujutsu Kaisen was only like it's already nearing the end areas. Like it was in reality, it was months ago when he found out that it only had 2 years left. I'll still do the chapter reviews. I still like it, but I mean, like when I like to do videos and stuff for series that are long distance because it'll give me more room to talk about it. This is one of the things I was hyped up about Build King is I could see like where Schumacher was like setting up for like a longer game and the ideas that he's done, you know, and after reading Toriko, knowing what he's like, that's what I was really excited about. But I mean, like for the most part, right now, Fairy Tail, I do want to get back to doing maybe some Eden Zero and Black Clover videos again. I did a Black Clover video the other day, but maybe I could do something on Eden Zero. One thing you missed the most about out of Build King. I mean, I really liked Tonkatchi, but I really enjoyed the whole idea of the Build Kings are this pinnacle of creation somewhere out in the world. We don't know how exactly like they're set to be so dangerous, like if they're conscious or what. But if you are able to win over the favor of a Build King, you can get like this godlike rare vigor. You essentially can get a special additional power. It's kind of like how Black Clover, like the devil, like devil-possessed people, have like an extra magic from these super high-level devils. It would be like if switching that out. Like if you went on a journey to acclaim this power, this additional ability on top of your own. And it's like, it would be something even crazier than that, I would imagine, if it's something, you know, quote-unquote godlike. And then when you look at what they're comparable, you have the Gold Vigor, which is essentially you can have a power of evolution. And you have the Black Vigor, which is the power to essentially destroy other vigors. You just have this kind of instant null out of other people's powers. It was a really cool concept. It was like having the Dragon Balls, but they're all set and they're all going to have their own rules. They're somewhere out in the world that like it's more like a dungeon. It's like combining the Dragon Balls with the dungeon. Because I know, like, I mean, to a degree, what Magi had, where it's like you can get like the Jin powers in the dungeon. But the way that the Build Kings were hyped up, it seemed way harder, and the reward seemed way crazier. Like there was almost like this untold level of potential that you can get from it. Similar to like how if you get the Dragon Balls, you can wish for not anything, but you know, potentially anything. Thought Attack on Titan openings don't resonate. I like the Attack on Titan openings. I can tell when Shura activates Overdrive, it's going to put everyone else to shame. I'm hoping his is badass looking. I'm hoping his isn't just kind of like Cheeky's. I like Superman ripoff characters, but with different twists. Oh, do you mean like, I wouldn't call him ripoff, but kind of just like, homage? Like, you talking about like Omni-Man and freaking Homelander and stuff? Thoughts on Lady, Nagan or Nagan or whatever? I think she's cool. I like her so far. I like the power. She's a sick sniper lady. Her, you know, her cool hair bullets are pretty neat too. It's gonna depend on whether or not Horikoshi wants to do more with her beyond what we already have. You know, beyond what we already have set with her character. Crypto Tartarus versions versus millions of Colossal Titans from Attack on Titan wins. I mean, they're gonna eventually run out of energy. The Colossal Titans are eventually just gonna be too much for them. There's millions of them. And, like, they're still big. Like, the Colossal Titans aren't gonna have the power to really do anything, but they have the numbers. They're gonna eventually just wear them down. It's like, even in the idea of, like, you know, Natsu's one-shotting these, he's only got so many punches. Or, you know, Ursa's only got so many swords. Gray's only got so much magic. You know, throughout the entire guild, they're only going to have so many things they can do. And that was in Tartarus right before like the real big power creep, where everyone started to get real broken, real OP. You give them the Alvarez versions, they'll be fine. Which Gen Dragon Slayer do you think is the best? I mean, personally, I would personally pick between 1 and 5 because 1 and 5 just seem to be the best ones. One thing about 5 that would make me kind of want 5 is like their Dragon Slayer attributes are so weird. None of them have had like a regular setup. None of them are elements. The first, like, essentially, I mean, gens 1 through 3, because 4 is just like the quantum knights, like they're just golems essentially. But the other ones, like, they're elements, and then we get into frickin' weird ass frickin' Blade Corpse, Sword Saint, all these guys. These are more hype, but also it gives you, I would imagine, like a wider range of things to do. Because, I mean, like, with first gen, I'm going to pick Fire. I mean, like, that was one of the first things that made me, like, take notice of Natsu. He's a dragon wizard with my favorite element. He's got a lot of my favorite things roped into one. Wait, I read this one. Is there a way to enjoy manga better? Because when I try to read manga, it's just so hard for me, even if I like the series. I don't know. I mean, like, if you're more of an anime guy, I'm sure that's fine. I personally really like the manga. Because like it helps me get immersed better, or immersed. It helps with the immersion better, at least for me. And I get more. I don't know. I think I get more out of it with like the way that some of the paneling ends up being. Like you get more wide frame shots. You're getting nicer art. You're getting things less censored. I do think doing both, watching the animes and reading the manga, helps. Because once you get used to it enough and you could hear like the characters' voices in your head and certain theme songs and stuff, it just kind of plays while you're reading it. When you get immersed far enough, it really gives you a sense to understand of what they're doing and what's going on. Sure, it's split at 3100 versus the Clover Kingdom. Clover Kingdom should be fine. Like they're gonna have trouble considering it's spaceships, but I mean, like, for the most part, a lot of the captains and people like that can one shot the spaceships, because they're just numbers and flying spaceships. So they'll be like, outside of that, those aren't like the big danger kind of crazy things they deal with. You put like the oceans in there, Shura, freaking Narrow, and obviously we got to wait a little bit more to see like what they're all capable of. But I mean, it's something that is it's something that's way more formidable, I would assume. I think it's possible Happy can get some kind of advanced magic element here. I hope he just flies faster. I'd like to see maybe like an upgraded set of wings for Happy. Maybe he just get like there's a power up form he gets in his spin-off. But I mean, like, he has like these cool has a wing power up, and like the energy around it and the way that his wings work make a little heart shape. I'd be okay with that. That'd be cool. Overdrive Homura versus partial overdrive Jin. I would assume that version of Homura would win. Like, a overdrive, it's like having a Bankai and not having a Bankai. It doesn't automatically mean you win, but you get such an advantage. You're just like, it's an automatic boost to all your stats. You're going to get an upgraded version of your abilities. I would assume that that Homura would be fine. Like, if you put them on equal terms, like, they only get as many advancements in their ether gear as as the other one. I would assume that Jin would win because he just seems way more combat experienced, way more kind of sharp. But we'll see. I mean, Homura could end up being just straight stronger. Who knows? At the end ring announced for Demon Slayer, there was a mini short time skip happening. It pissed me off. Oh, just mean in general, like all the 6 months, 3 months, whatever. I need to see Ironside's face. Honestly, he's not human, though. I've got no proof. Oh, he has to be human, I would assume. It'd be really weird if he wasn't. I don't know why people think Lucy lost. It's because it's just because of that last page. If you don't have the context of the last few panels, it seems like she lost. Where in reality, Mimi just passed out on her feet. So Lucy did win. She was the last one. She was the last one technically standing, considering that that Mimi was no longer conscious. She wasn't able to keep fighting. I didn't think the next time Lucy activates her star dress, it'll be all of her spirits. All of her spirits at one star dress. That's like last chapter Lucy. That's last battle Lucy. That's too much. She just got to 2. I know why people think, like, oh, wait, I read that one. Can that bum wise Becky deal with the OD Homura if Milani isn't defeated yet? I mean, I would assume that once Milani's defeated the Mirror Homura, we'll just revert back to normal. Thoughts on Chopper lasting long, doing well against Queen? I actually am really curious of why it wasn't swapped. So it was like Chopper versus, is it Who's Who, the one that Frankie's fighting? Because I think Frankie versus Queen would have been better. You have these two guys who are both, they're pretty big, technologically advanced, and they're both kind of funny. But I think that they would have had a better fight. I don't know. I'd have to ask some One Piece guys. I was real confused at some of the scenes this chapter. I saw, like, Queen shooting, like, a mouth blast. I don't know if I missed that prior or what. There was, like, his neck was extending with, like, chunks of it were, like he got cut. Like, it was really weird. And I was just like, well, it makes sense that he's cybernetically, essentially, enhanced. He's got a robotic arm. He's, like, a mechanical guy, like an inventor dude. But I was just like, I don't know if I missed a part where that showed some of these things earlier, but it was really weird. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Chopper fighting Queen. It's weird. Like, I'm not even much of a One Piece guy, but it just feels really out of place. You have Chopper up against, essentially the tier right below where Big Mom and Kaido are in this war. Because the people directly below them would be their commanders. So somebody like Queen, I feel like should be up against somebody like, Sanji or Frankie or somebody that's like more of a fighter. I know Monster Point Chopper is still strong. I'm fully expecting there to be some form of new power up reveal with Chopper, because the fact that it's like, hey, your rumble balls I can extend the time, but the minus some side effects, just tells me there's something in there. And I just gotta keep my fingers crossed at the hopes that this is where Oda decides to loop in the rumble balls into this arc. I'm hoping Monster Point Kaido is gonna happen, just because like it'd be so lame to have Chopper and his essentially this. Chopper essentially has a way that enhances zones across the board. It's an automatic power-up thing. It's not the same as like doing, training hockey or whatever. It's a similar thing to what Zora did with the peasant runes, but you don't have to actually learn anything. You just have to eat the rumble balls. So somebody like Kaido, who has an all-zone army, I would expect the rumble balls to, one, be a huge interest to him, and two, give him Monster Point. You could skip the other ones and just get to Monster Point for him, and that'd be sweet. Finally be able to die in peace with Lucy can summon Celestial Spirit King and get a star dress. I would love to see that. I'm hoping by the end of the arc she summons the Celestial Spirit King. I was actually really hoping we would get Aranometria. One of the reasons for it is I was thinking like we don't have 4 versions, so I remember making an Aranometria post about it, and it's like you had the initial one she used against Angel, you have the one from the Grand Magic Games, and the one against Jackal. I wanted to have a 4 set. Now we have 4 sets, so we've got a full 4 for 4 picture post of Aranometria. I mean, it makes so much more sense. I feel like she'd become this powerful OP goddess. Yeah, so the thing is, Celestial Spirit Magic is actually really OP when you look at where it comes from. And, it's essentially summoning these constellation spirits that exist in their own dimension where time flows differently. So, Celestial Spirit Magic is spatial and time manipulation magic on top of being Celestial Spirit Magic. And, like, she has access to all these other abilities on top of that. Like, the Celestial Spirit King's ability when he used Galaxia Blade and apparently, like, Starlight corrodes darkness. It gave, like, an extra potential thing for Lucy to eventually have as a way to combat dark-based abilities. It's really cool. I would assume curses as well, primarily. I would assume primarily curses, just from the wording of it and, like, what was shown. I don't know if it would just be, like, all dark-based things and curses, but who knows. That Shiki Boy used the robot system to meet Shield. I don't know. I'm assuming Shiki made like some like gravity barrier. But I mean, we'll see. There's so many options that him within that explosion could have went through in order to make it out of there. Like, he could have tanked it. He could have flown out of there. He could have made essentially like a shield out of the robots. He could have made like a gravity shield where he's pressing gravity in all different directions. He could have just like I would imagine like went overdrive and maybe like counteracted the force or something. I don't really know. Like, what if he used his gravity center, pulled them all into one spot, and then moved them or something? Or, like, gravity centered the explosion so it was all really in one zone. I don't know. Crystal Sanders says C. I wonder about that. What's your favorite character from Fairy Tail? I mean, Natsu's probably my overall favorite. Zareth, Margear. I do really like Lucy Celine. Ignia is on the list for potential eventually, but I mean, they're great. Those are probably some of my better picks. Jalal is one of them as well. I definitely say Jalal. I want a Soap Dragon Slayer. That'd be a little too far over. Do you think Holy is going after Nero like she since she had other fish to fry? There's probably another character that she's aiming for. Rex, if I had a chance to change Noelle a character, what would you change? X being development or magic? Wait, what? If you had a chance to change Noelle as a character? Like, what do you mean? Like, example, develop magic. I mean, just like giving her a different magic would probably be the thing for me. What kind of magic would it be really cool to give her? Actually, what'd be really cool is give her... Cause I like Milani's thing, but I was going to say some form of mirror kind of powers. I remember I was discussing with somebody who, like, if I got to add in a Dragon Slayer, and mirror, like a mirror-based power wasn't on the list. I think that was also one of the cheat ways that I liked Milani, is that she already had a power that, was on my, thumbs up list. Something like that. Maybe if it was swapped so she had light instead. Maybe that could have been her thing. I don't know. I'm fine with the water. I mean, it just seems really... Water is cool, but I mean, like, I'm curious to know as to what Noelle's higher-end version is really going to be. Which Fairy Tail arc pre-100 Years Quest has the most fights? Has the most fights? Probably Grand Magic Games. Grand Magic Games or Alvarez, really, when you look at them. What's up, Guillotine? How you doing? Black Clover fans on Twitter need to put in their place. No, they're fine. Saying that Zagreus could beat Zareth. I mean, at me at that. I mean, if it's fight stuff, just at me, man. I'll jump in. Doing both anime and manga is the best experience. I would agree. Because, like, once you get it eventually, like, you get the characters' voices in your head, and you can kind of get, like... It makes the scenes flow a little bit more fluidly. I remember when Yami showed up to fight Dante, at least in my head, because I was so... I was hyped for that chapter. When I was reading it, I could hear some of Yami's theme music in my head, and then I don't know. I could almost imagine them... kind of like the panels, like looking at the panels, thinking about how they would look in the anime. So it doesn't make it animated, but when you're so immersed in it, it almost sets it in your head to make you think it is. It was really cool. I had a lot of fun about that. I think the last chapter, at least for Black Clover, when Jack fought Dante, there were parts that did that for me as well. And Suzaku's fight. Suzaku, like whenever we get like up close, looks at his sword when he's about to draw it. I don't know. I hear that sword sound when they start unsheathing. You hear that kind of sound, and like the blade just gets fitted out of there, and you can hear the metal like kind of like maybe like tap against the sheath. Yeah, Zareth obviously beat Sacred. I mean, I'm sure anybody that has 3 cents of knowledge can tell you that. You think Wisegate happy? Any major upgrades? I don't know. I don't think so. It'd be really weird to upgrade him. Unless he asked for it. If he asked for it, that'd be one thing. But I would assume unless the Happy Bot is asking for set upgrades, he's probably not going to get any. Is it safe to say that Chopper is stronger than Sanji? He can't be. As much as I like to clown on Sanji, if Sanji is below Chopper, I would be so disappointed. I'd be so disappointed in the dude. Because, like, I meme on him all the time. So if he got down bad to the point where Chopper was above him, man, that would be a sad day for him. So it's like, how do you recover from that? How do you recover from being below the character who 99% of the time his role is to be the mascot? That's like somebody losing to Happy. Like in an actual, like, non-silly way. Like actually losing to Happy. All these Jujutsu Kaisen characters. Your number one favorite is Gojo. A lot of people really like him, so I don't understand. Mine is Megumi. Yuji, Toto, Megumi, and Nami. The Nami at top 5. Good stuff. What's your favorite Natsu moment? My favorite Natsu moment was when he went at save 2 for you. I actually really like when Natsu and Igneel had that synchronized hit. It was so cool in the manga, and it was done so well in the anime too. Like, it's just this fast move right then, and it just goes for the hit. But that was a super hype part too. I love how it just like Natsu just says, "Nah, fuck this game, fuck the games. I got stuff I gotta do now." Do you like it when Shiki does a technique in the anime and it's painted as a still frame with words on the screen? I think it's cool because they've been doing it whenever it's the first time he used the technique, not every time. So it kind of makes the first time he uses a technique a little bit more more of like a big technique, not every single move ever. But actually, does he? I don't know. Either way, like as long as they do it only in the first times, I'm okay with it because it makes the first usage stand out a little bit versus if they did it every time. That was one of the things I didn't like that much about early Fairy Tales anime is when they would use the same scenes for certain things. Like I didn't mind the first time, having the little cutscene when Gray is doing his ice make, but sometimes it took too long. Same with Natsu. Ursa's I was never bothered too much because I like how hers looks. Well, the fast-paced version, I don't need to see the long version. When it just shows her, like, all lit up, and, you have, like, the ripples around her, and she's just re-equipping. That was what I was okay with seeing on a regular basis. But I would, like, when they do the long one, where, it's just, like, touching the area around her and stuff, you see, like, the ripples. That's kind of like the same thing. It's cool the first time, but if they overuse it, it'll feel almost like they're just trying to save time. Or maybe save a little bit of budget, kind of things. And I know, as long as it's done tastefully, I don't really mind. New to read a manga when people want certain deaths in Black Clover. Yeah, when people, like... the thing about a death is, like, I mentioned a little bit in my Jujutsu Kaisen review. Like, it's neat sometimes when you have characters that can just die on whim. And, a character can just die out of nowhere. Sometimes his death isn't going to be as, like, big, crazy, like, story-hitting as it is in certain other series. But it's supposed to be more of, like, how death can be in real life. But, I mean, like, I like the way that a lot of big shonens do death instead. Like, death of a character. Because it gets you... One, when characters don't die very often, it makes a character death feel rarer. And it makes it feel... Like, it's more impactful. And on top of that... When they spend more time building up a character, like your attachment to a character, and then they die, it just gives more weight to the reader, and it gives you more of like an experience going through it, rather than just like, oh man, this character died, damn, or like, oh wow, I didn't expect this character to die, that sucks, versus like, if a character death really gets to you, because like this is not I won't go too much into Jujutsu Kaisen source because there has been anime only here, but like with oh god, I don't want to say anybody, but like one of the recent ones, the one before this current one, I was just like, I don't care. What does this do for me? Like, if you were a fan of said character, then sure. But I mean, like, outside of like the people who are directly have stocks in like one of these characters, I don't really know why it would bother me if some random character died. I don't know. Next chapter, Sanji fights Queen. Actually, I would hope so, and who knows? Who the hell knows at this point? Does he? Is there any form of spoilers out? I'm gonna go and look right now because you said that. I'm gonna go look. If Sanji fights Queen, I'm okay with that. Personally, I would have preferred Frankie to fight Queen. I think Frankie versus Queen would have been a better matchup, as I said earlier. But unfortunately, I get that. Is it the One Piece spoilers out already? Because like I said, if there are spoilers that indicate that he's fighting him, then I'll be happy about that. Oh, good. Sorry for the people that are One Piece guys not looking for spoilers. I mean, I guess I read it out already, but I'm happy about that. It gives more to Sanji. It gives more of a fight for Queen, and it's better than Chopper doing it. I mean, like I said, if Chopper had something up his sleeve, some crazy like upgrade to monster form, I wouldn't mind as much, but I would prefer as much as I like the meme on Sanji, I will actually want Sanji not to be in the mud all day. So him getting a fight on Queen is at least something. I would have very much preferred it to be Frankie, but I don't get that. Let's see. So Sasaki was against Frankie. Oh, it was Sasaki was against Frankie. Yeah, so I don't. So those guys, I'm like, I know a couple of them by name. The Flying Six or whatever. Who's against, Who is against Shinbei? Probably because Doctor versus Toxicologist. But yeah, Frankie's Queen would have been pretty good. I think Frankie Queen would have been cooler personally, because then it would have been Inventor versus Inventor. And then you could have had something in there like Frankie has a resistance to some of like the dude's plague shots or whatever, because he's got machinery parts, and obviously shooting a plague shot at a robot isn't going to do the same. So shooting at a cyborg is only going to do partially the same. I think that would actually would have been a really cool fight. You think Eden Zero Crew should switch up teams, not always just being Shiki's main team and then Jin's team being separated? I mean, listen, man, you go with what works. They don't have time to train and try new stuff out right now. What do you think Wise's Overdrive will be like? I'm hoping Wise's Overdrive. Have you ever seen like what magic tech is like, what magic science is like in certain series? Where like Final Fantasy actually good, where you have like machines floating around people. You'd have like the equipment would have all these different like gadgets and pieces that are like semi like telepathically levitating next to him. He would have some form of like crazy looking like gun on his shoulder or like for an arm, like Mega Man style, something like that, where it would just be like all over the top with him. I'm really hoping out of all, like with Jin, I really want Jin to have some cool wind ninja upgrade. I've just got my fingers like crossed for like some form of ether shuriken. Like imagine some big ass wind shuriken that's like colored with his ether gear. It just looks like it's kind of like Homura's sword, but this giant ass shuriken. I think that'd be so cool. And maybe like he throws it and makes a tornado or something just in its general pathway to kind of give it some extra. That would be badass. Actually, huge feat for Chopper. Sanji better do something. Yeah, he better. It looks like he's got something potentially on the horizon. I'm his personal favorite because he's comically serious businessman. And I just really love his design, and his powers are really cool. There's that scene where that dude goes to punch him, and that's like in his head. It just felt like he visualized just punching like a brick wall, like literally just punching like a big stone wall. And I was just like, man, that's badass. Like that was such a cool scene of imagery. And then Nanami just fuck you, just back smacks him. I think Lucy will learn other spells like Ornamentia, Magic any keys. I mean, she could. I mean, she should still know Fairy Sphere. I don't know when that's going to be useful. But outside of that, I mean, she's got... I mean, Oranometria is already, like, a really high-class spell. So I would assume, like, she doesn't really need anything outside of that. But I can because she just has to go... Like, she's got her star dresses. Go into star dresses, use those. And if she doesn't need her key... Imagine if Lucy doesn't need her keys anymore in the future, and she can just star dress at whim. Like, her keys are irrelevant. Nothing at that point is really going to hold her back outside of, like, if you get her in, like, magic sealing cuffs or something. But, as I was going to say, like, in the scenario of her not having her keys, she's going to want to, like, she's going to want spells to, defend herself with. But, I mean, like, if she gets to the point regular where she doesn't need her keys, she can just star dress at will like this. But if she doesn't need her keys beyond like where she's at now, like after this arc, if she doesn't need them anymore back in Earthland and stuff, she doesn't really need any other spells, because then it's just about developing new spells, just in creating new ones with in your star dresses and stuff. Well, Concept Fairy Tail never loses the same opponent twice. It's just badass in itself. I mean, yeah, they're always ready to come back prepared. I mean, technically not always the case. I mean, some people have lost to characters more than twice. Like Natsu lost to Future Rogue really twice and didn't come back until the third win. But I get the more motto of it. That was the thing that Gray always pushed more. Wish Fairy Tail to get as dark as Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't need them to get as dark as... I don't need to see like people getting beheaded every 5 minutes. I don't need to see people with their organs ripped out. I'm happy with Mishima's style. He keeps it pretty comfortable. When he wants to get dark, he'll get dark, and outside of that, he'll keep it as a much more like fun but serious tone. That's just my opinion. I don't really mind if something's real dark. I mean, I loved Chainsaw Man. It was one of my favorite new series in a while. But I mean, like, I also perfectly fine, with stuff like Black Clover and, in the shonens and, mainstream, new, whatever, that they have that normal kind of classical style to them, where they, they aren't going to get super dark, but, they'll go dark at points. Characters sometimes will die, but not always. They won't get, like, People aren't gonna. You're not gonna see like a guy get slashed by Urza and then his intestines fall out or something. I like how you're not just tells us about robotic races, it shows us people, shows tell us, tell but not show it. I mean, he's doing a good job on showing the robotic side of things and how people respond to them. I swear every arc in original Fairy Tail revolves around either Zeref, Jalal, or Lucy. I mean, yeah, they're important characters. What's your favorite Bone Black Clover Spade arc thus far? Mine is Devil Union Asta. My favorite arc, or my favorite moment like within this arc, is when Asta got back up and stood next to Yami. That was a super hype moment, and it gave a lot of emotion to it. What's your opinion? Made Jalal a better character than Seekart? I think Jalal has a better overall story. I think he has like one of the things that I never like with Sieg that'll always bother me is Sieg did all this stuff. He chased Ellie forever. He had all this emotional trauma on her. Like a lot of stuff happened between the two of them, and then afterwards there was no. There wasn't a lot of like, yeah, I did some really bad stuff there. I should probably, probably be a little bit better about it. Maybe you just have a general better grasp on like how things are going. Maybe be a little bit more apologetic. But I mean, like, I don't expect him to be, yeah, I done fucked up, sad guy Magoo. But like when we see like how much like emotional distress and like self-punishment and stuff that Jalal went through because of how generally bad he felt, I liked like his backstory and like tying to Urs and everything. I think Jalal just has an overall way better, like a massive content and stuff to his character. A lot of people just go to Sieg because Sieg has that really nice end, and like I'm not gonna deny that was a really cool plot twist. I'm not gonna say much for the people who haven't read Raven Master. But that's really when people compare the two of them, I can guarantee that if somebody wanted to try and argue why Sieg is better than Jalal, that's what they're going to go to. They're just going to go to that. Like, Jalal is a better fighter. He's got a better moveset. He's got more importance to the story. He's got a better backstory. He's got a better character arc. He's got better dynamics with the characters. Anyway, let me get back to some of these comments. I'm still hoping for a three-way fight of Wise, Jin, Shiki versus Shura, or just Jin, Shiki versus Shura. I don't know if we're going to get any team fights like that. There could be an Earth Dragon Slayer, Star Dragon, Solar Dragon, Storm Dragon. I want Radiation Dragon. I want essentially Godzilla. I think Clean versus Milani would be a good matchup. No, I think Clean would get destroyed. I think, depending on how much stronger she got, but like if she's where she was at prior, I would assume that she's, she would lose. There's like Milani had some good abilities, like how the fact that like destroying her mirrors doesn't really do anything but make it better for her. But also like if you cut yourself while the glass is like if you cut the glass while it's reflecting you, it can do it can essentially just make you feel the pain, which is really cool. If I were to change Noelle, I would give her a bigger moveset for her till she would be like second generation Dragon Slayer. Just give her a ton of moves. I mean, she's got to have a sword, though. Like, you got to give her sword stuff for the most part. Because, like, her Valkyrie dress is mostly, like, a combat form. And, like, she's got a couple spells on top of that. Like, she doesn't have a ton of spells. Lady Anna is badass. I mean, she's pretty cool so far. I'm wondering if she's going to get any more abilities. Let me keep scrolling. Oh, I already did some stuff on those Zen... Zuluta, I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm gonna do more eventually. There's the one that's really funny is Gray, Too Many Ice Shells. He only tries to use it twice. He tries to use it the first time on Luna Island. Well, I mean, does he technically try to use it 2 times on there? I don't think so. I think it's really within the same span of time. But like Luna Island, the one in Tartarus was a bluff. He wasn't actually gonna do it. And then in Alvarez, he was very serious about doing it because he wanted to seal Zeref. And he wanted to, atone for what he thought he did wrong towards Natsu. I don't know what this condiment question is, Nevs. I don't know if I'm going to comment on that. How strong do you think Shiki's gravity would be if he had Lucifero's gravity managing? I mean, I would assume he'd be Galactica level. How strong do you think... Wait, I read this one. Sudaku's so badass. He immediately climbed to the top of my ranks. Yeah, he's absurdly strong. I was not surprised, though, when he got dominated by Selene. It just seemed like Selene was too much for them. Who do you think would win, or Jura? Oh, probably Jura. For a second, I thought Ultir, and I was going to be Ultir for sure. But I mean, like, Jura, the thing about Jura, that Jura definitely has, is outside of just his general earth manipulation techniques, he has really high physical strength. So if he can get in close and he can land some of those karate chops and stuff, then that's going to do a lot of damage in by itself. I mean, that's dangerous. And assuming he's not going to go, no character stuff, because I feel like he would go easy on Urk. I feel like he would go easy on a woman, just being like, he's a polite dude. So I assume he would be a little bit more polite in that matter, and Urk could just get the, get the underhanded move on him, and, take advantage of that opening. But I would assume that wouldn't really ever happen in a fight sense. You treat it more of like the characters are just thrown into each other, and not with I know sometimes they'll have like in character, but for them usually people aren't in character when they go about aspects of whatever it is they're doing, whatever it is their whole moveset, and then the fight between characters are kind of like moving up. It'll just be like, yeah, characters they meet up and they try and fight. Pre-time skip Strahds versus current Eden Zero. Oh, I go with the Eden Zero. They have better. I mean, they got better hacks. They got better abilities across the board. They have smarter people. They got more people. In fact, I was like, think about like Clean, like her whole like trapping people in air thing would be so useful. It would take out most of the Straw Hats just from the start. Think about Haru and Lucia's rival in Rave Master. I thought it was pretty good. My favorite not to moment inflects on Sabretooth and later starting to save Happy. That was pretty cool. I know a lot of people really like that. Since Ursa in the Ice Trail to be equal to Guild Arts. No, she's not equal to Guild Arts. It was made very clear she wasn't even equal to Guild Arts in 100 Years Quest. Like, she went up against that ice monster, that snow creature, and then a bigger one popped up, and she was astonished at how strong Guild Arts was. Do you think Gemini can use a Star Dress? Wait, do you think Gemini can use Star Dress? I would assume so. It'd be cool if, like, she also went, like, Gemini turned into Lucy, also went Star Dressed, also summoned 2 more spirits, and then Lucy summoned a spirit, and then, like, has 3 spirits running at her while she does around Metria. Should 3rd gen be better than 1st gen and 2nd gen by description alone? Well, the thing is, 2nd gen, the Dragon Slayer Lacrima seems to kind of be like almost like a shortcut. It doesn't seem to give you nearly as much of the boost, say, like Dragon Force. Like, Sting, Cobra and Laxus's Dragon Force weren't even close to even what Natsu had in the Tower of Heaven, like, just from eating, like, a chunk of Lacrima with Ethereum in it. And so the same thing with Sting and Rogue. Their Dragon Force just doesn't seem as powerful, like Lakima-based Dragon Force. And I would assume that given those shortcuts, they probably weren't as trained. And you would really just come down to certain variables. Like, if you had them all on the equal level, you'd probably go something like 3rd, because, I mean, then you also get drives. I mean, I don't really know, like, if you are on equal level, the Lacrima would play into a certain degree, so you'd have more probably fighting experience in general, kind of power like setup with 1st gen, because you're not going to have any of those shortcuts. Yeah, Yuji, like, the thing about Yuji is Yuji feels a lot of the time like he's not even the main character. What do you think about Kid versus Big Mom? I don't know. I don't really care too much. Like, I like Kid, but Big Mom is just like What's up, Egan Media? How are you doing today, man? I don't know how old that comment is. I'm scrolling down. I'm hoping I'm not that far off. I'm not that far off. Let me see. Egan's thing was the last comment. Okay. Kid versus Big Mom is about another Suzaku versus Celine. Yeah, but Suzaku versus Celine is an interesting fight. I feel really bad for Laurel Petrica. Not even Yami's having it this hard. I'm sure that she's like kind of just in like some relaxed mental state at least. Been seeing people on Twitter debate Edward versus Even. A character just wanted to get your versus Even as a character. Wait, what? Who's Even? I'm kind of confused. Oh, Aaron. Who's better? I'd probably go Edward. So you played Kingdom Hearts. Who's your favorite Kingdom Hearts character? On Kingdom Hearts 3. I liked Kingdom Hearts 3. It felt really short. I don't really know, but I think that's just because I moved through the game so fast. Because when I played Kingdom Hearts 3. Before then, like for a month and some change, I played through the games in chronological order, so I was in the motions for a lot of Kingdom Hearts. But I mean, I know a lot of people said that Kingdom Hearts 3 on the regular playthrough the first time was way easy. Who's my favorite character though? Let me think. I don't really know. Because I mean, like, I like a lot of the original. Because one, I have to think more about the original characters, but I like a lot of the cast. Like, I like Sora, but Sora doesn't have enough that I would really want to put him as like my favorite. I do like him. Like, people like Roxas are really cool too. I'll just put maybe a tie between the two of them, like Sora and Roxas, maybe. Do you think Igni will do something to progress Natsu and Lucy's relationship? Yeah, he'll probably try and kill Lucy. Ether Shuriken? Yeah, I mean, that would be really sick. Just imagine this big green energy Shuriken with a tornado in the whole point in the middle. How would Sheriff Arrogance Karma seal Kawaki? I'm sure Kawaki could absorb all his ether stuff, wouldn't he? Wonder if Rebecca will have overdrive and what will be. Well, she's definitely going to be the last to get it. Because, one, her power is the strongest, but we know that she's also the weakest as a fighter. She just has the best ether gear. Are you surprised Natsu didn't kill Future Rogue after he defeated him because he killed Future Lucy? And Natsu's not about, at least especially that version of Natsu wasn't about, like, executing people. Or as, like, current Natsu, I think current Natsu, knowing, like, if there was no way of saving him, he probably would have killed him. Because Natsu now, like, he's gone through so much that he would probably not think too much, and, like, having to take somebody out who there's no saving and is a danger to keep around. Ether Demon Wind Shuriken. Yeah, man, it'd be sick. What's up? Totally Not Syndrome. I was actually going to read... I just noticed it was a smiley face. I was going to read that as... would that be colon D? Colon uppercase D. What's up, though? How are you doing today? Can I please be mod for 2 minutes trying to send a comment, but it keeps disappearing? I cannot trust you on that matter, my guy. Crystal Sanders, thank you for all the hearts, though. Much appreciated. What's good? What's going on, Gene? Gene, I saw you got murked off Twitter, man. What happened? Getting in trouble, I see. Gene's getting in trouble with the law. I know. Who would have guessed? Criminal Gene Arc. I can't believe him. How you doing, though, Teddy Gene? Some of these Uno fans on Twitter think Xeno and Uno are siblings. That'd be weird. That'd be really weird. If we didn't have all this stuff set up beforehand about, the Zolgrata siblings and stuff, if it was just, say like we just knew Xenon's name and we knew he was in this arc, and he was built up instead to be almost like this Itachi guy, I could see that. But outside, like, where we're at now, no, I think it'd be really weird. Plus, like, if we got this far, and, we saw the flashback they had in the anime with, like, the Zolgrata siblings all meeting up with, like, the king and whatnot, it'd be really weird. Maybe if he was, like, a bastard son, that'd actually be really cool now that I think about it. What if that was the case? Let me get your guys' opinion on that. If Xenon was a bastard and he wanted to he wants to get revenge on the whole family. Like, what if the Zolgratis family came from the members of the royal family at one point that became demons? Actually, I'm gonna share this with Jay after this. Someone take note of that. I'm gonna ask him about this because that would make a lot of sense. If these guys, like, imagine this. We're just doing a commentary thing right now. We're having a breakthrough. I don't know if anybody else has talked about this, but at least for me, it'd be a first. So, the two members of the Spade royalty obviously had some knowledge and of demon magic, forbidden magic, getting their hands into places they shouldn't been. But it wouldn't, like, imagine that happened and then their family got kind of like, they got stripped of their nobility and stuff. Maybe this Zolgratis family would want to, like, in their core, not specifically like Dante, but like at the core of their family, like, they wanted to get revenge. And plus it would make sense of why they would have knowledge of, of stuff with devils, because if their family already had their hands on that, it could get passed on, similar to like what happened with Gordon's family, of just like, a long-standing setup of people in their household messing with devils. Like, it would make sense. Or like Nox family. I don't know. I'll talk about this with Jay afterwards. Let me add him real quick, and then I will and then I'll get back to the comments. One second. All right, let me get back to some more of these comments. I want to right like an hour and a half. I was planning just to go until like the chapter came out, but I don't know how long it's gonna be. At some point, I need to go take some sleep aids so I can fall asleep at a good time tonight. And for those who are newer, I am not a good sleeper. I'm a terrible sleeper. So I usually take stuff to help me fall asleep. So hopefully, I'll probably do it like within the next 15 minutes maybe in the stream. And soon, not yet. But I will get to some of these comments first. What I'll do is I'll get caught up with the comments. I'll run downstairs, grab some stuff, and come back up, and then we'll continue. But let me read some more of these comments so we can get more into stuff. This whole the idea of like actually would be kind of cool if like you were gonna have Xenon if he was gonna be like instead of like some like turncoat brother, if he was like some vengeful bastard son. I think that actually would be really cool. How evil was Demon Card from Rave Master compared to Fairy Tail villain groups, considering everything they did? And probably I would assume like the same line around people like Grimoire Heart and Tartarus, because like we didn't get to see a lot of it, but like Grimoire Heart especially was going around razing towns and cities to the ground to get the keys, you know, quote unquote keys to awaken Zeref. They killed people in mass. Same thing with Tartarus. Could current Natsu without Dragon Force defeat Akanogi from Tenrod? No. No, he couldn't. What's up, Rax? Love you, man. Love your streams. Get with the good work. Go. Gene, I talk to you on the regular. You can just say hi. But how are you? I appreciate the nice, kind words, rather. Almost compliments. Same thing, but still. Crazy how Future Rogue, who had his Evil Shadow plus Sting's magic, still needs 7 years to beat Natsu. I mean, Natsu in base bodied Rogue at the Grand Magic Games with Sting at their strongest form. So all these things, you know, well, not only that, because like it's not like he needed that much time. By that time and all these things, he was stronger than Natsu. I wonder how long he would have actually needed to get, like, if Natsu stopped, like he just was in stasis again, for Rogue to get to that level, assuming he does the same thing. Would he only need like 2 years, maybe 3 years? So there's, since there's an homage to Urza in Eden Zero, do you think there'll be another in Here's Next series, like Jalal homage? What do you mean? Oh, Kenmano! 1 second, let me, do you mean like, what do you mean like an homage? Because like, Homura is not really an homage. Like, the closest to the point was when she said that she wanted to be a knight at one point. Yeah, let me get to these comments, Kamani Mad Knight. Rax, thank you for the $100 though. Really appreciate it, man. Appreciate all super chats. You are known for going crazy.
Shit, you just busted a nut.
Rax, who would win between Yuha and Sinbad, both at their peak power? Also, I would guess Sinbad. Sinbad seemed way more casual in how he was using his powers. I would need to know for any Magi people, because I didn't finish Magi, I still haven't finished it. Can Sinbad do stuff through time? Because one of Yuha's actual weaknesses is he can't affect things in the past. He can only affect the future. Because the way that the Almighty works, he can do stuff in the present to pick like different timelines and whatnot, but he can't affect things in the past. Because the whole concept is like the future is malleable. The future can be like all these different things, but the past has already happened. The past is set. So if you have someone that can mess with the past, and Fireheart Zeref, then you automatically pretty much can beat him. Because even you just go back in time before he got this power, you kill him. Let me see. At the peak power, also, would Natsu or the Fairy Tail Guild react to someone who is anti-authority? Example, in MC My Stories, MC threatens to kill them if they are nosy, bossy towards him in particular. I mean, that's like a regular thing for them. Like they are very much like not listening to a lot of things and go. I mean, they get a lot of threats to people that piss them off. I mean, think about like how Laxons used to be. They would definitely be fine with that. Like just have somebody who's like seemingly grumpy. But yeah, thank you for the super chat, man. Always appreciated. I actually would want. Does anyone know if Sinbad can mess with things in the past? I would need to know that. I would assume that Kinmano knows if he's picked the characters. He's a Chad, bullies everyone. Is epic, still show, dies without apologizing, refuses to elaborate further, still remember his top 3 of all by fans. I mean, people remember because of the plot twist at the end of his story arc, but I personally prefer Jalal stuff. I think Jalal connects into the story a lot more interestingly, and I really like how his character has really progressed in all the different content we've gotten from him. let's see, Jura versus Jack. I would go Jura. The thing about Jura versus Jack is Jack being able to cut through Jura's stones wouldn't matter. It wouldn't really bother him. And like, what is he gonna adapt to his rocks? Okay, he'll either just keep manipulating. And we've seen like he can manipulate rocks after they've been messed with. But also, like I said, he just has his physical strength. He can just throw hands at Jack. Jack in no way is as physically strong as Jura. That's one of the things Black Clover really is missing when it comes to like the stats, is they don't have a lot of people with raw physical strength, and someone like Jura, who is extremely physically strong, not like top tier, but I mean like, he's definitely physically strong and be able to smack out Laxus and stuff, would be too much for Jack. All he has to really do is get that one karate chop on Jack and he's done. Because with Orga has the physical durability to compete with people at his level. Jack is strong, but the thing about Mana Skin is Mana Skin protects against mana-based things. It's not going to protect him against raw physical strength. Don't worry about the name pronunciation. Oh, don't worry about it. I don't mind. I mess up names all the time. I read this, the freaking Soap Dragon Slayer. Suzaku versus Irene. I would go Irene on that one. I do not think that Suzaku can beat Irene. I mean, because like even... I think he could give a medium level difficulty to Irene. I think people are really downplaying how much more powerful Irene was. But you just need to go and reread some of the scenes she was in. She was absurdly more powerful than the other Spring. Jack versus Kaido. I would go Kaido because it's a similar thing. But it's like, what happens if Jack adapt? Like, even the idea that Jack somehow adapts to Kaido, that's not going to matter. Kaido will just stand there, get slashed, and then swing his Kanabo down and crush him. Laxus is for Elfman in just a fist fight? Oh, Laxus for sure. The thing about Elfman is springing tier in terms of his power output and his durability, but he's slow. He's canonically slow. His weakness is that he is not fast. He's actually slower than people who are full tiers below him. Like he's outsped by Lizana like level people in terms of speed. And Lizana seems to be fast for her group, but I mean still, even if Lizana was, let's just push Lizana up more than where she should be. Say like Lizana is Wizard Saint tier, like barely Wizard Saint tier, her speed would still be fodder to like a Spriggan, and her speed is still something that Elfman has trouble dealing with, and that just goes to show you like the gap for Elfman. Elfman is one of those Pokemon where it's just like, man, he hits hard, he's a tank, but he's always going to attack last. He's always going to attack last. I mean, he's got his Were-Tiger speed form, but I mean, like, that's just a speed form. It's not going to be the same thing. That's people are saying Laxus. Kaido beats Jack. Yeah, he just crushes Jack. I gotta read more manga. Gene, read Toriko Man, or read Rave Master. Mar is a really good short series, Gene, if you want like a really fast read action, like fun action series. It's called March and Awakens Romance. It's really good. It's mostly a tournament series, but it's a really fun series, and the characters are really likable. Serious question: how do you stop obsessing over something? It's running my life. I have intrusive thoughts all the time, every single day for a month and a half now. I'll just try and think of something else. I'll just try and get focused on something else. Like, I'll maybe, like, think of, like, oh, if somebody asked me this question, what would I say? And then kind of, like, think about, like, one thing that actually really helps me, like, waste time. Imagine you were having a conversation with somebody who had no idea about, like, something that you really liked. Like, for me, it'd be like if somebody had no idea about Fairy Tail and I was explaining to them, like, how dragon slaying magic worked or something. Like, it just the hypothetical conversation in my head can, easily pass 20 minutes. It's one of those things. Like, if you have a problem, like, obsessing over something, the easiest way is just to find something else to kind of keep your mind off it. Your brain is going to wrap around something specifically. So at least try and figure out if you can direct where that, that hypothetical rapping goes. Oh, Kimono, you're going too crazy. Thank you though again for another $100, Kimono.
Shit, you just busted a nut.
Slow down though, man. I want you to buy yourself nice things too. I try so hard. I mean, at the same time, as I've always said, I can't tell you how to spend your money. You do what you want, but at the same time, I will encourage you to buy yourself some nice things. Yeah, let me read this. I would have read this if you spent $2, man. Also read Jujika no Rokunin. That's the one that you told me about. I do plan on reading that. I'm setting up. I'm hoping I can have a lot of free time in my schedule soon, and that is on my list for things to read. There's a couple series that I want to read, and that is I don't Doku Mishi. I don't know if that's the one you maybe recommended me. I'm pretty sure it's the first one because I remember the first part of the name, Jujika. I remember it started with a J, but I do plan on starting. I'll have to look at the other one, but yeah, I'll check them out. Don't worry. There's a lot of stuff right now that I have planned that if I can get my current schemes underway, then I will have I'll have like two plus months off of just free time, and I'm gonna get caught up on a lot of stuff. I'm gonna read and watch a lot of shows. I'm gonna play a bunch of games and try and just get caught up on a couple things that I generally want to do. So look for that. Like, if this can work out for me, I can go back to the days when I used to just do nothing but read manga all day. Like, I remember those days of just, like, sit down, freaking read 80 chapters of something, don't even stop, like, just essentially just kind of get up to get, like, something to eat. And I guess the only other thing I'd really have to do is feed my cats. Other than that, I'd be pretty much good to just waste my whole day reading and enjoying myself. But obviously now I gotta juggle it amongst other things, but we'll see. Other than that, though, yeah, thank you. Go a little, calm down a little bit, Kamano. Calm down a little bit, man. You always go crazy with the super chats, my guy. I do appreciate them, though. Egan Median says, I'm doing good, Rex. How are you, my guy? I'm good. I'm doing pretty well. Just waiting for these chapter translations to come out. I do want to read them. I don't imagine there's anything that crazy, like, reveal-wise in the chapter, other than, you know, it's just the good Lucy fight and stuff. But I still do want to get in them. The next chapter is where a lot of my more... I would say, like, I definitely wanted to get to this chapter. There was nothing that I was super hyped for outside of just a fight. Whereas with the Grave fight, I really want to know how Gray overcomes Sukune's diamond effect, and I really want to know what Gray's advanced magic is, just because, I mean, it's really cool in the concept of having, you know, the whole idea of transcendent magic. They get a buffed version of their magic. What is everyone going to have? We've seen Lucy's. I like Lucy's. I like what she's been doing. Obviously, I enjoyed this chapter a lot. And, you know, but I want to see what Gray's thing is. I want to see what Gray's power in his whole new setup is going to be. Like, what exactly about his magic is going to be advanced? Is it just going to be the temperatures more? Is he, like, able to make more kind of, like, minute descriptionary pieces? I don't know. That'd actually be really cool if he could manipulate, like, essentially, like, you know how you have, like, snow, but it, like, if you just zoomed all the way in, there's, like, snowflakes. These tiny, I don't know if snowflakes are I don't think they're microscopic. Either way, whatever their version of size is. But imagine Gray using, like, it would look kind of like he's just manipulating, like a breeze of cold, but it's, like, microscopic ice. And he wants to, you know, he'll get it on you and then flash freeze it, and it'll just kind of, like, explode. It'll just be like the, you know, a speckle of ice gets on you, and then bam, it explodes and just kind of like freezes up your entire arm or something. Shibata really took out the strongest people in the verse from this arc. Wait, what? I don't know what you mean by that. Do you mean just like the Dark Disciples or what? When do you think Ignia is going to show up again? I'm hoping after this arc we can see... I don't need Ignia to have like a full presence, but I'm hoping Ignia has just like a part where he shows up and talks to people. Like, maybe between this arc and the next arc, where you know you have the whole transition period, this next one we have Ignia show up. It has some exposition and just kind of dialogue with the other characters. Man, Kenmano's crazy super chats are just going to be sitting at the top of the chat bar for a while. Those ones are like... I don't know how long, but like the first one was what, like 20 minutes ago? And I mean, it's still sitting up there with maybe 80% of the thing gone. But yeah, I always appreciate it though, man. I mean, I just wanted to say something again because like I'm looking at them just like, man, they're taking their time. Asta versus Natsu. Natsu would demolish. Like Natsu would demolish Asta. The thing that people forget is because people always look at Asta and think that he instantly beats people with like if you use magic, because anti-magic he wins. But I mean, you can look at Dante the first time they fought. He just bodied him, and so just take Dante, scale him up higher, and it's gonna be the same thing. You know, like. His anti-magic has a potency to it. It's not infinite. So all you have to do is be stronger, Natsu. You have physically stronger, Natsu as well. More fighting trained, Natsu. More fighting experience, Natsu. Better hand-to-hand, or a better close combat fighter, also Natsu. It would just be like, Asta goes and swings, tries to do something, and Natsu's just going to throw hands on him. He's going to box him. he's just gonna keep punching the hell out of him. Indian Natsu versus Asta Union Mode. Natsu clobbers. Like, Natsu can beat him in base right now. Think we'll ever see an Ether Gear Unison raid? I don't know. I would assume that they would have their own version rather than it just be Unison raid. Why are you spamming real life? Wait, what? Oh, that guy's name. I don't know. He is really excited. Yeah, Natsu absolutely demolishes Asta at Guillotine. Just because he has anti-magic doesn't mean he beats everybody with magic. I mean, even in the fight against Lilith, like Lilith, despite having she wasn't able to do anything anti-magic, she was still faster. So it's not like Asta's automatically just gonna be like on par with these people, even if the idea that he could just cut their magic. But I mean, like if you're outright faster than him, then you're just gonna body him. Someone like Natsu, who's also a better close combat fighter and way physically stronger. Injustice Wonder Woman versus Lucy. I mean, that's still Wonder Woman. Would Wonder Woman have magic? Could Lucy Gemini her? I don't know. Because Injustice Wonder Woman is still fight Superman, and Superman pushes planets, so I don't think so. I think Xenon being a bastard would be interesting. I would really like to see Bastard Xenon. I don't know why I said Ichigo. It's because I was thinking about Bleach. What I was talking about. When I think about Xenon in general, I think of Bleach because I know, like, I was giving him kind of like an Itachi-esque idea, but I always think of him more like Okiura. The Vonica, Dante, and Xenon, I always compare more with like the Espada, at least in my head. Well, that would give Xenon an actual motivation. That'd be cool, though. Yeah, if he was like some bastard. Besides Wendy, does anybody else know that Irene is Urza's mother? I would assume the main cast would know. Like, it'd actually be really weird if a year passed and none of them talked about it. Like, we don't need to have some long conversation, but I would assume Urza would mention it at some point. Hey, this person was my mom. And plus, like, wouldn't Wendy, like, I don't know, I feel like it'd be really weird if they just kept it to themselves this whole time. I don't think it would really fit, especially, like, she doesn't have to tell everybody, but I assume the main cast would know. The people that are with her on a regular basis. That they have sleepovers at freaking Lucy's house for no reason other than just to. Rack's brain is going to overdrive sometimes. Noelle versus Lucy. Lucy's way more powerful than Noelle. I mean, like, it's weird because, like, Noelle is actually more like a fighter, but I mean, like, Lucy's a spellcaster fighter. But she also just generally sits way higher. Like, current Lucy is absolutely Spriggan level. There's no doubt that current Lucy is Spriggan level, especially after this fight with Mimi. Like, Mimi didn't have, like, a crazy ability moveset, but she definitely she should have Spriggan levels of durability. For one, she absolutely should, if her whole thing is her body. Like, her physical strength and her durability should be. That doesn't look like anything else, but, like, these are her two things. Make the Xenon video. I'm gonna share it with Jay and see what his opinion is on it first. I might make the video. If I'm gonna talk to him. If he likes it, thinks it's good, maybe I'll see if he wants to do it. But I kind of want to do it just because I like the idea. But I do want to share it with him. I'll share it with what I'll do is I'll share it with him, but I'll tell him that I want to make the video first, or if I'm just gonna make the video. I don't think he would steal my idea. Jay's a good guy. He wouldn't do that. I don't think any of the Black Clover dudes would take my ideas if I just gave it to him, unless I said, like, go for it. I actually had that conversation before, where, like, I can't remember what it was, but I had an idea, and they they thought it was cool, and then I said, like, oh yeah, cool, you can have it, and I don't think they caught that. So, like, I think it was the Bone Devil thing, or because we were, like, wondering, like, maybe it had some form of maybe nod of where Tabata got some ideas from about, like, Xenon's devil. Obviously his is a spatial devil, but it was more like kind of like the connections between things. And I think it was either Jay or Josuke where I was like, oh, that's like, they thought the deal was kind of cool, and I was like, oh, cool, you can have it, you guys can do the video, or whichever one I was talking to. And then it was like a week or so later, they're like, oh, how's the video coming along? And I was like, what? I'm not doing it, you can have it. I don't. It was really awkward, but it was kind of funny though, because I think they were excited for, like, the video that I thought I was doing, but I was like, oh man, I'm glad I passed this idea off to somebody who would make a better video than I would on it. But I'm gonna make the Xenon Bastard video. That would be kind of cool, or, like, you know, some Forsaken bloodline. And that's something that happens, and, like, you know, it's very understandable for like a souring for a character to their core. You know, this idea of, like, a usurped throne. something that kind of screwed over their, their right to rule, kind of things like that. Who knows? Let me see. I'm actually just going to try and get caught up to the chat. Saying how Ivan and Laxus turned out, how would you rate Makarov as a parent overall? Makarov did a good job in the guild. He did a bad job with Ivan, obviously, but he did a good job with Laxus. Laxus turned out really well. Yuna Asa versus Natsu and Gray. Again, Natsu and Gray are gonna body. Kenmano never changes. He's still a Chad. I know, Kenmano's always generous. I always tell him, like, I wish he would buy himself something. Like, if he showed me that he bought, like, some cool figure, he's like, hey, I bought this for $300 or $400, I'd be like, sweet. I'd actually be really excited to see that. I mean, I'm always happy to see people's figures, but I mean, like, again, he can do whatever he wants with his money. It's his money. It's a conflicting thing because, like, I don't know, like, he likes to crazy super chat. Some people like to go over the top, but I don't know. My channel isn't too crazy. I mean, like I said, like, my goal is mostly to be really good at background noise, so you can just listen to me while you're doing stuff. But I mean, like, if he wants to go crazy and throw money at me, he can. I mean, I'm gonna be present. I read all the super chats. I still remember one of the biggest pet peeves I've ever had on the idea of YouTube streaming is people who don't read super chats. And, like, I understand if you were like PewDiePie or somebody who's, he's got freaking double to triple digit thousands of people watching him, you're getting, like, super chat every 5 seconds, something like that, sure. But if you're like an anime streamer or something like that, I've never seen anybody, even with, like, the bigger channels, when they stream, they'll get, like, decent numbers, but I've never seen them get something like that, like, just absurd numbers where you can't even see the chat hold still. Like, you should still be able to read the chats. Unless you had, like, there was another YouTuber who I saw, he would do, like, pauses. Like, he would do normal stuff, and then he would take, like, pauses to read the chat. He would just do essentially, like, 10, 15, 20 super chats stacked up. I'll get to those. He'll just read them consecutively. But it's like, it always bothered me, the idea of somebody's donating money to you, and you're not gonna read what they say. It's just so weird to me, because, like, there was the general concept, actually, I think is the better to go with, is that the viewers, like, they're the ones helping you get money and stuff. They're the ones helping you get to, make profit off of streaming or YouTube and stuff. And I mean, like, like, sometimes, like, people get messed with, but it's just like, if they're just giving you money because they want you to read what they say, especially if it's not, it's not, like, mean or anything, or it's not like they're trying to get you, then I don't know, it's weird not to read them unless you don't have the time. And it's strange to me not to go over them. Stardust arc, which arc would you consider dark? I mean, Tower of Heaven, like, the whole setup for the Grand Magic, or not Grand Magic, for Sirius Island. Like, the Tower of Heaven, like, reading some of, like, the flashback, like, it was crazy. You have all these child slaves that are getting beaten and tortured on a regular basis. Urza's tortured so much one of her eyes is no longer functional. All these people, they're always hyped with Kenmano's mad laddery. Rax, would you ever cover Best Guy videos on Fairy Tail? I'd have to look up who Best Guy ever is. I've never seen his content, but I'll take a look at some point. Maybe that'll be a thing for the future. It's like, I've seen people want me to do, like, reaction stuff to other channels and whatnot. Maybe the way that I should do it is doing it in streams. Because last time, I remember I did, like, a video. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a Fairy Tail video. It was like 30 minutes, and I think collectively my video was like an hour. I think it would work better if I just did it in stream at some point. Maybe like those kind of videos, and those will be maybe someone, but like I could have like an additional stream day. Maybe it's like every once in a while I do like video content or something. I'd have to look up the rules and regulations for YouTube of like fair practice for stream stuff. I think as long as I like don't show anything inappropriate, and I keep the stream, like the video window, and they're kind of like a similar setup to what I do with like my videos and stuff generally, that I won't have much of a problem. His dad had an affair. No, so they don't all have to be related to but like, what if just Xenon is? Like, what if the Zog, because Xenon, Dante, and Vonica, none of them look the same. None of them look similar. Like, look at like Kier, look at any of the other siblings. They have similarities between them. Whereas you don't have that with Dante, Xenon, or Vonica. Lorax by Urza Manja meant a character who looks exactly like Urza, like Elsie. Oh, that's because so the reason that Elsie is the way that she is because of the Seekhar, the freaking Jalal, Bistagun, all that stuff go back to Mugen. It's not specifically Urza, it's the people. Urza is because she, like Urza to Elsie to Urza, or is it Elsie, whichever way you look at it. It's because of the relation, you know, obviously that she had to Jalal. Jalal is one of the people that have this armor. If you look at all the people that are direct. Not like alternate versions of each other is the best way to say it. Kind of like a different direction on, like, if you had a character, you had the base aspect of them, but you just took it in a different direction and then it filled in a bunch of stuff to kind of coincide with that different direction change. It's always the people who have that eye mark. Think about it, because you have Mugen the original, Seek has that eye mark, Joel has that eye mark, Mystigan has that eye mark, Justice has that eye mark, Genesis has that eye mark, Elsie has that eye mark. The eye mark that is on all of them, whether it's just a coincidence that Mishima's doing or if there's something bigger, that eye mark is the reoccurring thing. Because with Elsie, it's not just the Seek, Jalal, Mystican guys. It's specifically people that have that eye mark are the people that exist again. If somebody exists with that eye mark, they have been an alternate take on a previous character within his multiverse. Because he's already said his series are all connected within the multiverse. Let me keep scrolling down. Let me see how... I don't think I'm that far. See, there's Tippy. Luckily, a guy who I don't recognize in the chat that much means that it's somebody that will stand out for me when I'm scrolling and finding stuff out. Okay. Let's see. Nazi versus current Asta. Nazi still bodies. The guy who made Fairy Tail is dead video. Oh, why would he say Fairy Tail is dead? I'm like, it's still going. It's actually still selling well, which is really weird. The manga and the anime somehow got top 5, I think, grossing anime franchises in 2020. That was weird. I didn't see that coming at all. It's kind of like when Bleach randomly gets spikes. I swear every arc. Wait, you already said this. The difference between Demaria being a god of time, Zeref becoming a god of time, of very hard, and Akaloy becoming a god of time after eating ripped in 20 time. Also, Kronos, Demaria wasn't Kronos. Demaria is one of the people of Mildian that essentially bonded with Kronos. Like, the soul of Kronos merged with her, God's soul take over, the whole setup. Zeref's is something that is surpassed that. He surpassed a god. He surpassed what they should be capable of. Actologia is just like he essentially consumed like this absurd power and just became way more powerful. Like with Zeref evolved into like this higher state of being, essentially. Like Zeref moreover became something new, whereas Actologia just gained a new power. It's just a different way that they went about it. Let's see. Irene would not let herself get touched by Suzaku. Well, no, I think that Suzaku is within a realm of speed that could fight her. I don't think Suzaku could beat Irene. I think Suzaku could get Irene to about a medium level of difficulty. Where if Irene and Suzaku were head to head, she would get to about maybe around 50% of fighting. Whereas Suzaku, I think that his Dragon Force is something that I don't put on the table. But I'm like, if you put his Dragon Force in there, I would assume that Irene would have to go into her dragon form. I think she would have to go into her dragon state, but I still think she would win. She just seems outright more powerful. Good stream. Got some stuff to do before bed. Well, I appreciate the compliments. I'm going to try and get caught up with the chat, and then we'll call it good, because it's been about a little over an hour and a half. I was hoping the chapter would be out by now, but it doesn't seem to be. And let me check on the fan site too. Is that sometimes they have it on there before they put it on the the spoiler website. Look at not the weekly sorcerer. I don't know if they've said anything. I'm gonna have to check their Twitter real quick as well. I don't think they've said anything about the chapter getting delayed till tomorrow. I'll look. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it, so maybe at some point today, because I do want to get it. I'm gonna end the stream probably after I get caught up, so I can kind of get my stuff done, and then once the chapter comes out, I can get it finished, and then I don't have to worry about either doing it in the morning or having to stay up longer than I wanted to do the chapter. As I already got the thumbnail set up, I would have already had the layout of the video prepped, But I need the panel where Lucy's using Oranometria at least translated, because I want to use that one. Let me see. Rex, which fight? Which would you? Which should you match up? Team Natsu versus Stark, Baragon, Halba, Okuro, and Grimjow. I mean, the only person I really have to worry about is Baragon, but I mean, Urza could just Nakagami and just cut through it. Because, like, you know, you treat Ryatsu and Ether and Nano the same thing, so she should be able to cut it and dispel things. Plus, they're way faster. The thing about, like, the Espada, they were fast, but, like, they were before Bleach started to get a lot of its, like, bigger feats. Like, Ulquiorra was a good display of, like, when people start to get in the bigger feats, but Liz Lons, unfortunately, he can't aim. Grimjow is actually formidable, but I haven't read Can't Figure Your Own World, so I don't know how much more powerful he is. I know he's stronger. And then Stark, Stark's just shooting Ceros. Natsu's just burning them. Baragon's the only one really that they have to worry about. But they should be fine. What's more hype whenever they show up? Guild Arts, Kenpachi, or Gojo? So the thing about Satoru Gojo is you expect him to show up. So he's fine. And there was even a point, I remember reading a comment where somebody said that the early parts of Jujutsu Kaisen were literally stay alive until Satoru Gojo shows up, which is true in a sense. So I don't think he's as hype. Like, his is like when Yami showed up. Like, here's a good example. When Yami showed up to fight Dante, it was cool, but it wasn't nearly as hype as, say, like, when Kenpachi showed up to fight Noitra, or when Guild Arts showed up to fight Blue Note. Because those ones, that, like, where the Yami one, I didn't expect Yami to show up immediately, but, like, Yami showing up wasn't something that, like, really surprised me that much. And then same thing with you know, I would say Satoru because Gojo is his clan, but Satoru, like, I assumed he was going to show up at some point. Guild Arts, it's between Guild Arts and Kenpachi. I don't know. I would personally pick Guild Arts because we get Guild Arts less, and the Guild Arts pop up when he showed up to fight Blue Note is more hype than any of these other characters' reveals, like showing up dynamic entry into the scene. Like, who you like more and stuff is your opinion, but I think, like, with all the stuff with Kana, like, boosting it up, I think that Guild Arts can take it, like, just from the hype aspect of him appearing. Like, him showing back up in Alvarez was really hype, but it wasn't nearly as hype. But, like, the thing that really boosted that is, like, we hadn't seen him for so long, and it was really cool just to see Guild Arts, post-time skip design and whatnot. But I would definitely go Guild Arts. Oh, you're heading out, Mercenary? You have a good night, man. We're gonna finish up the stream soon. Lizana, Elfman, and Lizana's faster, but Elfman is obviously superior in every other stat. That's why they have a good team comp combined, and why they can fight against someone like Agil. They have the team comp, and he has a way to counteract Sand. X, do you think he's a better character, Edward or Aaron? I'd go Edward. Yeah, Kenmano's always going crazy. Usually gets 100 points to calling him back to ask for a new rule, and Scoot immediately swaps them. He just starts murdering people. I don't know, man. Like, we're at, like, near the end game. I don't know if I need another, like, Sukuna jumps in and starts murdering people. Like, if he bumps in again, he better just, like, fully be ready to come out. Oh, when Ichigo gets his powers back in Bleach. My favorite part in Bleach, I think it's undisputed, is when... I think it legitimately is when Ichigo shows up and fights the lieutenants, and he's just bodying all these vice captains, and he just puts down Zangetsu and just starts throwing hands. That was so cool. Especially the theme music they gave him. When you start speculating who's going to steal Greatest Thunder versus Sukune, it's just a joke. I hope not. Man, I hope not. Could Gemini copy Asta? I would assume so. I don't think it could copy Anti-Magic, though. Because then it would just cancel it out. Because, like, Gemini's still doing everything through magic. Do you think we'll get a Gacha flashback? I hope so. My favorite Ichigo moment is him showing... Yeah, man! Barehanded against all those guys, and he's just beating up all the vice captains. That was super sick. And they had the #1 theme music playing. Oscar's not sound like Squirtle versus Ace. It was pretty silly. It would be cool if Gray could do some S-Death ability to freeze time. He might be able to. We'll see. Lucy's father, Ju's Redemption, doesn't really get talked enough. He actually... That was one of the benefits of watching the anime. I actually got to talk to Jay about that. Well... I think he's gonna read the manga, but I don't know. I think he's gonna read the manga and then watch the anime. I think that's a better setup though, by reading the manga and watching the anime and then reading the manga. It's like with Soul Eater. I would rather watch Soul Eater, then read it, and then watch it. Just a mass murder. Yeah, but those people he killed were transfigured mutants that were trying to kill and eat people and stuff. If no one important dies in Wano, watch these people complain about deaths. Don't criticize One Piece. Everyone's afraid to criticize Oda. I would say, like, I personally don't mind if any, like, major deaths happen in Wano. But if there's anybody that are, like, hard One Piece stands saying, like, you know, trying to poke at other series about, like, not having deaths everywhere and then their arc ends without any major deaths, then yeah, then go for it. Fuck it. Is it too late for Yukino to improve like Sting, Rogue, and Minerva do? I mean, Yukino's fine. I definitely would like to see her get a different magic. Give those keys to Lucy. I think reading Super Chat shows your appreciation. Yeah, it's just a weird concept to me, the idea of, like, people give you money to simply to read it. Because, like, they don't have to give you money to type certain things. It's because they want to get your attention or embolden something. Like, if they just want to, at the best, because at that point the best option is like somebody in chat reads it. Like, chat for sure reads it, maybe. But it's like, if the person they're writing it to, I assume the streamer or YouTube or whatever person, and they don't read it, and it's just like, to me it feels really weird. But also at the same time, I feel like at the same time it would make people not want to super chat too, because it would be like ignoring them, and I don't know. I don't like ignoring people in general most of the time. Like, I only ignore people if they really piss me off. But outside of that, like, I don't tend to ignore people. Sometimes I'll miss somebody's comment, but like I have people know if I'm ignoring them. Like, I'm just be crabby about it. I mean, I guess especially online, that I'll just block. I mean, online I'll just block them. It'll be a block. But outside of that, like, I try and just chat with people. So when people try and chat with me, I don't know, I just try and chat like normal. I already read the not super Zod story. Let's see what the hell people ignore super chats. I've seen people do it. It's weird. But I again, like, the ones that there's just so many coming at the same time. Like, maybe you set, like, a number. Like, I know because there's going to be 1,000,000 $2 super chats, I'm only going to read $10 and up or something. If you set a rule or something or other, or maybe, like, what if you, like, I'm trying to think about, like, maybe if you read, like I said, do super chats in intervals or something. Maybe, like, hey, guys, we've been streaming for, like, an hour. Every hour, do, like, a super chat read or something. I don't know. But other than that, like, I don't like the idea of, like, just, like, if you did a stream and didn't read super chats at all. I've seen some people do that, and I am not a fan. Like I said, it's like ignoring the people. It would be like, because, like, a stream, the whole point of a stream is, like, that it's going live, the people get to be in the chat, they can ask you questions and stuff. But if it's like, if you're just ignoring them and talking, it's like, why am I not just doing a video at that point? If I'm gonna just talk and not look at the live stream, why don't I just do a video and post it and read the comments? I don't know. Wendy and Earth versus Injustice, Flash? Oh, Flash is too strong. I mean, it's the Flash. Sorry I left and came back. That's fine. I'm trying to finish up some of these comments. Brainiac versus Acnologia. Could Brainiac do anything to Acnologia? I have no idea. I don't think Brainiac has any way of dealing with magic, does he? I actually have no idea how that fight would go down. Because you essentially have this guy who's, all about, like, eating magic, being powerful and stuff, against this other powerful guy who's all about machines. But I don't know. I actually have no idea how those two would pair off. I know, obviously, like, end versions of Brainiac are too powerful, but I mean, like, I can say the same thing with certain versions. Like, with the Space Between Time Acnologia versus probably most versions of Brainiac. Hope we get Sinbad, Kingdom one day in Black Clover. Or in, oh yeah, I don't know. Brainiac is multiversal. Well, that depends on what version of Brainiac you use. That's what I'm saying. It would depend on the version. But, like, assuming you used a fair version to where it's actually a fight and not just one side dominating the other, I would assume that, like, well, no, I can't even, what I meant to say is, like, I wouldn't be able to assume, because, like, their fight would just be so weird. I don't really know what they would do. Elfman Lizana or Zagio was Bull. The thing is, like, oh no, so Urza struggled because he countered the hell out of Urza. He could turn her swords into sand. She couldn't hit him. He messed with her ability to, like, breathe and see. Whereas Elfman, the second he went into the sand beast form, he didn't have to deal with any of these problems. Elfman had a power advantage. Power advantage is a thing still. It's not nearly as dominant as say like Black Clover. Like power advantage has much more of an impact. Like look at Patri versus or Dark Elf Patri versus Noelle. That's probably the best one for me because we know in straight stats, Dark Elf Patri is obviously superior, but Noelle was smarter and he had a counter to his magic and he set up something that completely screwed him over. That's essentially how I see certain fights, like like Elfman versus Agil. I would have liked their fight to be shown. I think if it was shown and we got displays of say like he throws like a big sand attack and Elfman like was able to kind of like brush it off because of the sand beast resistances and stuff. I think stuff like that would have really done better for like the people's outlook on that fight. But I think Mishima was just rushing at that point. That was going on in that arc at that point with 100 Years, or not 100 Years Quest, with Alvarez in the later portions, that he just didn't really feel like showing it because it was just one of those lower priority fights. I do feel Edward Father always cry in Winry's characters. I'd have to rewatch Full Metal. I haven't watched it in a long time. Because like last time I watched it, I didn't really care for Winry, but I'm like that was a long time ago. So I would like a refresher on it. I'll add that to my list of like stuff to go over if I ever get that free time I'm planning on soon. Versus the Perfect Woman. I also would agree. Current Laxus versus Sirius Island Guild Arts. I'd go with Laxus. Current Laxus versus Sirius Island for sure. Laxus have a theory the two sword Irene had, her human souls were stolen and enchanted in them. That'd be really cool, but I like the idea that she can just enchant things with personality. It's kind of contradiction because people shit on Fairy Tail, yet Fairy Tail is one of the majorly popular series of its time. I know people just like look for stuff to be salty about and get mad at. Let me see more of these comments I want to read because I do want to hurry this up because I do want to talk to Jay. I want to ask him about I do want to ask him about this theory that I had. I don't know if he's still online. I might have to wait for him to come back. But outside of that, let me get some of these. My Tell Hunter's Quest is in the post. Ship it into Fairy Tail as a continuation. It's just keep going. It's nothing really that kind of crazy. Most of Acton's powers comes from the fact he just eat everything. I mean, he's also got soul manipulation. I wish we got to see more of it. Current role is done so dirty. Oh yeah, the Rill is never gonna get out of the money thing. Sad how current Rill and Leopold lose Tower of Heaven and Jalal not to. I mean, the raw physical strength alone. I mean, their bodying just more hype. Haru kicking Lucia in the face, Deli, or Natsu breaking Sabretooth's guild. I'd probably go Natsu with Sabretooth because like. With Haru, I mean, Haru is up against an enemy. Dude's pissing him off. Guy's touching his girl. He's obviously going to do that. Natsu's was out of nowhere and off of something that had nothing to do with him. And he just went out of his way to go and flex. And on top of that, the lines that he gave is like, well, if I beat you, you're out of this guild too. And he immediately goes to challenge their guild master. It's one of those things where, like, in the smaller context, personally, I'd make it more badass. But I do think Natsu has a lot more badass moments than Haru. But Haru is made out to be more like a hero, whereas Natsu is made more out to be like this badass scoundrel kind of dude. So it's easy to compare the two of them in some aspects, but in other areas they're not going to be that comparable because like certain areas Natsu is going to be better. Like if you really wanted to compare like niceness, Haru like in certain areas Haru is going to dominate because Haru is more of like a general nice guy, whereas Natsu is like nicer to certain people. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna finish it up. I hope I'm gonna end it. I don't want to read any more comments, and I only mean that in a way that like otherwise I'm gonna be here reading comments all day. But Natsu's decision was definitely impulsive. But I mean, like you gotta understand the context of like how Natsu thinks and like seeing a guild treat one of its members the way that it did with Yukino, just pissing him off. Natsu is never about like Natsu is very anti-team killing. Not like actual killing, but like messing with people on your own team like that, like that should be your allies, is like a quick, direct ticket to his shit list. But anyway, other than that though, thanks everyone for showing up. I appreciate you guys. Oh, it main series back in 2017, and no, I mean not really. It's just a continuation. Like the only difference between 100 Years Quest and Fairy Tail is like that extra wording on the cover, and that Mishima is just writing it, not drawing it. But he still does some stuff in the art, so. I mean, it's the same way that like. Comparing Boruto and saying like Boruto is like, I mean, it sort of is different than Naruto, but it's like a continuation. It's not the best example. I think Super is a better thing because it's still the same cast. It's still the same. It's still moving forward with the same story. It's not something completely new. So I think Super's actually a better thing to compare it with. But anyway, yeah, you guys have a good night. Normal stream again on Saturday. And then, yeah, we'll move things from there. But other than that, I appreciate everyone for showing up. Talk to you guys later. Thank you, Kamano, for the super chat. You're mad lad as always.